putting it on live stream as well, so the YouTube link will be ready. Right, we are ready to go.
Great.
Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to this session on building India's cookware export engine, being organized by Trade Promotion Council of India with the support of Export Circle as community partner. We are pleased to welcome our panelists, first of all, for this very promising session. First of all, let me welcome Mr. Aditya Agrawal, who is the co-founder and CEO of Etail. Madhumitha, co-founder of Indus Valley. Naiyya, Saggi, founder of ET. Mr. Ravi Gupta, founder Etail Consultants Private Limited. Ketan Bagga, who's a cross-border e-commerce consultant and former senior exports partnership manager at Amazon. Mr. Vladimir Reznichenko, hope I'm pronouncing it right, regional head, Joom Marketplace, and Mr. Vishwanath S. Partner or at Stelco Group. I'm also pleased to welcome my co-moderator, Shruti Agarwal, who's the founder at Export Circle, who will be moderating the session with me today. Before we start the actual session, just a brief context of where we are at the moment and why this session becomes important. Because India's cookware and kitchenware industry, we see it to be at a remarkable inflection point, powered by shifting consumer behavior at home and accelerating opportunities abroad. We have done at TPCI some analysis of the global trade market for cookware and kitchenware with some identified HS codes, and our analysis shows that the imports were valued at $56 billion in 2024 with a 5-year CAGR of 4.3%. India's export performance is as follows. Exports of $1.1 billion, 5-year CAGR of 2.5%, global market share of 1.7%, and a rank of 9th. From a competitor perspective, the dominance of China overall is quite strong in these categories with a share of 62.8%. And a key question, therefore, which we ask is, we also have a well-established cookware industry, we can say, in India, but can India indeed be the alternative supplier for the globe? And we have strong reason to say yes. There are a few drivers which I would like to mention. Domestically itself, the broader cookware and kitchenware market is expanding steadily. Recent estimates place it in the $5 to 6 billion range in 2024. And most studies point to a 6 to 9% annual growth rate, definitely rising disposable income, lifestyle upgrades, and consumers are moving from basic aluminium and unbranded utensils towards tri-ply, stainless steel, cast iron, PFAs free, non-stick, induction-ready designs. We have urbanization trends, modular kitchens, post-pandemic home chef culture. So reshaping expectations, households are looking for cookware that's compact, durable, healthy, and multi-use. At the same time, organized brands are steadily gaining share, leading players deepening their presence beyond metros into tier 2 and tier 3. And of course, the uh, intervention of modern retail and e-commerce definitely makes these opportunities all the more exciting as for other categories. Globally, India has a strategic window of opportunity. EU, UK, US are all moving towards stricter controls on PFAs for forever chemicals, pushing retailers to shift towards PFA-free, sustainably produced cookware. This creates a strong opening for India because of our competitive cost quality engineering and well-established metalware clusters. With growing expertise in tri-ply, stainless steel, hand anodized aluminium, cast iron, PFA-free non-stick lines, we feel India is well positioned to emerge as a credible global supplier in the next generation. Of course, this is not something which we can say is cast in stone. It's something which we have to build, and this is why we are having this webinar today. But seeing this momentum and strong buyer demand from key global markets and an interest in Indian products, we are pleased to announce that we have also started a dedicated cookware platform at Indus Food, because international buyers repeatedly have highlighted India's capabilities in stainless steel, cast iron, tri-ply, PFA-free, And therefore, we felt that bringing players to this platform will allow us to bring manufacturers, exporters, private label partners, retailers, e-commerce players, etc., together and showcase India's innovation potential, accelerating export opportunities for this high growth category. So the message is clear: with the right push in innovation, quality, sustainability, India can meet domestic aspirations and also emerge as a global cookware powerhouse in the decade ahead. And this webinar is basically, we are looking forward to get some answers from our panelists on how this can be achieved. So with this, I'll move to my co-moderator, Shruti Agarwal, who take the session ahead with the panelists. And thank you so much, everybody, for coming and looking forward to the session. Thank you.
Thanks, Virat. I'm delighted to be the part of this webinar and co-hosting with you. Um, Good afternoon, everyone. I am Shruti. I have dedicated my work to building the ecosystems that help Indian brands step confidently onto the global stage. Through Export Circle and everything in and around that we are working, our focus on creating clear, practical pathways for founders so global expansion stops feeling overwhelming and start becoming achievable. With 19 plus years across e-commerce, cross-border trade, and brand acceleration, I've worked with high growth startups, global marketplaces, and large scale communities. Across these experiences, one thing has remained constant. Indian brands win when they have the right knowledge, the right network, and the right support system. That's the mission I carry forward every day. I'm excited to co host this session with Virat. Together, we hope to make today's conversation insightful, grounded, and truly actionable. So each of you walks away with clarity on how to take our brand global with confidence. We will start with the questions, and the later stage is a part where we will open the attendees to ask the questions, and the panelists can answer that. I am starting with Aditya. Um, and I'm throwing the question on you. Global buyers are increasingly interested in products with a story and heritage. How is Petal leveraging our culture roots to connect with customer abroad while meeting global safety and quality standards?
Yeah, thanks, Shruti. Good afternoon, everyone. Pleasure to be here. A bit of background for that question as well. At Petal, we are building traditional kitchenware, cookware products, which are inspired by traditional metals like brass, copper, and bronze, but are made for modern homes and kitchens across the world. And we've been selling in the global market since the last 15 months. And over a short span of 15 months, that business has overtaken our India business so far. So we do more of exports than selling domestically within India. And coming on to the question, I think for us, even in our origin story, the brand started in terms of promoting the heritage of these artisans because all of the products are handmade by artisans. So for us, and I feel which becomes very important in our category is that we didn't look at heritage or social impact as an added decoration to our selling proposition, but actually as a distinction and a differentiation. Because if we look at in our category in kitchenware, cookware, all the players, 90% of them are getting their products from China, right? So they don't have heritage to speak about. But at Petal, we know that, brass, copper, and bronze are metals that our ancestors have been using since age-old times. We have seen people drinking water from copper, cooking in copper and brass. And for us, it became the mainstay. We thought that, rather than hiding away from the heritage that we have, let's celebrate it. Let's bring it back to people and tell people all across the world because kitchenware cookware is not something that is limited just to India, right? It's something that people all across the world need it. People everywhere need to cook food, made food, etc. So that's why, specifically speaking about Pital, and in fact, the name also stands for Punjabi Thathera Art Legacy, which means Thathera are the group of people who make these products. Every product piece carries their identity, carries a story of who the products have been made by. We want to make sure that, especially global consumers, they look a lot into this. I think there were a lot of reports that came out that consumers globally are ready to pay an extra premium when there's a social story attached with a product, right? And that's why we don't hide away from our story, but proudly carry that story. We film a lot of our artisans, we show the process behind making these products. Rather than pitying craftsmanship or showing the sad side of craftsmanship, we like to celebrate craftsmanship, right? So that people who are buying the products also don't buy it because they are helping a small community of artisans in India, but they're actually celebrating what they're making. So I think that becomes important. And I think then other than that, the storytelling becomes really important for us. And when we transitioned from an India business to more of a global business, one thing that we realized that was the fact that, we need to make it modernized for their homes and kitchens as well, right? Like it won't work if I go there and sell a tawa and a kadhai, right? If I really want to sell to the true global consumer. And hence we tried to keep the craft alive and the heritage alive in terms of the metals, brass, copper, and bronze. But we tried to make more of modern products suited to their needs, like Dutch ovens, stock pot, saucepans, fry pans, so that the products don't look alien to them, right? And they can easily integrate it into modern lifestyle while also retaining that heritage and culture. So I think in a nutshell, for us, what really worked was that we kept the craft alive, but we modernized the science around it. The fact that, brass and copper conduct heat well, help in better distribution of heat, are much better in nutrient retention compared to alternate metals. I think that is what helped us shape the story as a global story rather than just a domestic story.
Sure. I think many of us are witness of your journey, Aditya. The one you have raised your first fund, and today when you are selling globally. And trust me, Petal is one of my favorite brand when I talk about making brand from India to global. And you are doing amazing and all the very best. My next question is with Madhumitha. I've witnessed your story with the Indus Valley as well, and I'm happy to ask this question. Many consumers around the world now care deeply about chemical free and natural kitchen products, which your product definitely represents, right? What
Yeah.
trends show this market is growing, and how can Indian cookware brands benefit from this shift?
Great. Thank you for that question. So, one promise from the Indus Valley is that we offer healthy cookware. Healthy, by healthy, what we mean is that all the materials that we use are chemical free and they do not add to your food in any negative sense. So, that's a promise that all of our products deliver. And it's a trend that we've seen in India. March next year, we'll be completing 10 years. And when we started, some of the best sellers in Amazon used to be, or most of the best sellers used to be non-stick and aluminum. That was the leading option that was available. But there was a gap where the consumers wanted a healthier, safer option for their home, something that was chemical free and also convenient to use in their modern kitchens. And that's where we fit in well. Today, we offer a range of cast iron and stainless steel cookware, which really fits into that value proposition. Today's customer has changed. They're very clear about wanting chemical-free options. They Google ingredients, they ask AI about the ingredients, they ensure that the coatings and the materials are safe. They don't want any mystery metals in their kitchen anymore. And especially in India, we see that changing more and more. We've seen this in categories like food, we've seen this in categories like beauty, and definitely it's a trend in the kitchen as well. So people are moving away from cheaper, low-grade options and choosing to invest in cookware that lasts, let it be cast iron or stainless steel or ceramic coated options and so on and so forth. They're choosing to put their health first, and their influencers have also changed. In the past, we'd reach out to a mom or a senior person in the family to get a recommendation. Today, all the information you need is at your fingertip. All you'll have to do is just look for it. And we have extensive content creators who are like nutritionists, doctors, chefs, having this conversation in real time, telling us what to cook in. So they're continuously educating the customers as well. And I feel this is a really big opportunity for Indian brands. So the Indus Valley is one of the very few brands which has nearly 100% of its supply chain in India. And we've built that from scratch, and that's no easy task. One of the easiest things most D2C brands do is go to China, kind of catalog things and bring it back home. But building for India, from India, especially for cookware, is very, very important because our source of heat is different. We do not use halogen stoves. We do not use induction stoves. We use LPG stoves. The heat radius is different. We tend to hand wash. We do not use dishwashers, irrespective of what income group the family belongs to. There are so many other such details that go into building a cookware, and that's the nitty-gritty that you need when you build for India. So that's something that we've learned along the journey, but that doesn't mean that we give away all of the best practices that the globe follows. And actually, India is setting a good example in that direction. For example, BIS has very strict standards when it comes to pressure cookers. Tomorrow, if you want to launch a pressure cooker, there's an entire guideline on what are the safety norms that need to be followed, and you have to pass those and get an ISI before you launch it. They're heading towards the same direction in tri-ply and stainless steel as well, and eventually in other cookware too. So India is setting the right direction in setting norms and certifications that are necessary to even launch a cookware. So we are well footed to launch our brands in the globe as well. The only thing we'll have to do is we ensure that we maintain those standards that are necessary, and we keep in mind the customer of that particular country. For example, the meat that we cook in India is in smaller portions. Versus in the West, there are larger portions of meat. So the size of the pan might have to be different. So it's just conscious building, listening to your customer, ensuring you're doing credible testing and being transparent. If we do all of those right, I see a significant opportunity both in the sense of an OEM and as a brand to build from India and export to the globe.
Sure. Thanks, Madhumitha. And I think when we got to know about your brand, we discovered, and the moment I saw it in one of the offline kiosks, I was so excited that, the kind of brand building that you're doing. And I've also seen the brand being praised by other founders, and it's always good to see that kind of ecosystem evolving. When you're saying listening your customers, I think Naiyya is literally cracking building with customers. And hi Naiyya, you're definitely the marketing goddess to me. The way you are representing and creating the virality around. I think you're a true example of how to build with your customer a particular product with all the identifications. The next question is for you. I think at Edit, you're doing wonderful. We spoke also, and I was not clear what you're building, but eventually I got that. So my first question to you is, promising products like the Luma glass air fryer show that innovation can create new markets. How can Indian cookware and kitchen brands grow faster by investing in new ideas, materials, and customer trust?
So first of all, Shruti, thank you so much for having me. Virat, thank you as well. And big fan of what Aditya and Madhumitha have done already. So it's great to be sort of right after them. Just to tell people about what EDT is creating, EDT literally stands for Everyday Design and Technology. And therefore, the promise we have as a company and as a mission and as a founding team is to bring design and technology every day into our extraordinary lives. Through the devices, through the daily devices that power our lives, and in a way that makes us live healthier, safer, more nourished lives, right? And our first product, Shruti, like you said, is the Luma. It's a pure glass Nutri-Retain air fryer. It's the first 360 glass air fryer of its type in India. And when my co-founder VT Vyasa and I began this journey, I come from a consumer and a tech background, and VT comes from an industrial design background. And we looked at the space and we said, if we want to build a global brand from India and global products from India for the world, what do we do to make almost like a breakthrough in this cluttered space, if you will, and create a 10x better solution? And the other piece that we kind of looked at was, apart from design and technology being the breakthrough, what do modern homes and modern families like ours, both in India and internationally, need, right? So when we're thinking about building our products from scratch, Shruti, just so you have context, we're building obviously with a very large community in mind, as you're familiar with, both in India and globally. But we're also uniquely sort of fine-tuning some of the design choices we are making for the Indian home, right? So for instance, if the Luma, is it like haldi resistance, made of glass, right? Do the haldi stains stay on the top of the materials we're using, right? Is it heat resistant? Then a lot of Indian families are now, especially the modern families, switching to dishwashers, like in the international cohort as well. So are the bowls dishwasher safe? Right. So those kind of design choices, as well as sort of material safety choices, are being made constantly. which are very interesting because now what I'm realizing as a third time consumer founder is when you're building for India, whatever your learnings in India are, you can actually take to the world because India is actually the toughest, uh, I would say, bed for innovation. And if you can crack it in India in a certain cohort, the learnings apply across. I think that's just the second thing I want to talk about is not just in design and material choices. I think there's a piece around, and I know we're talking about cookware, but just from an appliance perspective, there's a case to be made on technological innovation as well, right? So in our air fryer, for instance, and of the other many products that we'll see, India actually has a very robust, firmware, hardware, SaaS, application layer, bedrock of talent, if you will. So even in the way we've programmed our product, our device, the first one, the Luma, the way we programmed it to sort of have the ranges of heat ensures a higher nutrition retention in the final outcome of the food you're cooking than any traditional methods or even other comparable air fryers, right? So I think that's where a lot of the technological expertise in India also comes to play in building this almost like this middle layer between the hardware and between an intelligence outcome as well. So I'll stop here. A lot of learnings. We're very early. We're the earliest, I think, in this cohort, but lots to share in this journey.
Sure. I think you will have one entire story around one product, and people will be eager to know what's behind building this particular product. And while you're talking about air fryer, even my brain starts thinking, what is the problem with my air fryer now? So yeah, it's very connectable, and but glad to know the story behind. And I'm always amazed and all the very best. Um, my next question is with Ravi, who is the founder of Etail Consultants. Ravi, my question to you is buyers today want more than products, they want a smooth buying experience. What are the top expectations of global kitchenware customers when they buy online from new brands or new countries? You're on mute if you're talking, Ravi.
Thank you, Shruti. Hi, everyone. Before I answer this, Shruti, let me give you the context of what we do. So we are into the global distribution from over a decade and primarily shipping from China from last 10 years to the countries like UK, US, Germany, France, Italy. And of course, shipping a bit from India to the global space, right? So we have the both side of this and also importing from China and selling in India as well. So seeing the overall distribution, first, I think I would like to address to the founders first, um, who are expanding in the global platforms. Uh, they should know because the point I wanted to make, the time has come. The time of India has come, right? This is what I feel, from the last 2 or 3 years, the time has come, right? This is what I feel. So when we sell on the global platform, and I'll take an example of Saudi Arabia, especially a country which is restricted. First, whenever you choose to sell, choose a restricted country. Because if it's an easy country to access, then you have to fight with a lot of exporting countries. But the first country is China itself, right? Which is toughest to deal. So globally, it is same like India. I'm sure many of you will resonate. सस्ता चाहिए तो Chinese है, premium चाहिए तो Italian है, right? That is the mindset global it has, right? This is what we see all the time. So which means what the customer is expecting and what we need to ship is. I think Petal has cracked really well. And when I look at their story, because if I say all the points, it is same what Aditya has mentioned or what Naiyya has mentioned or Madhumitha has mentioned. I think once you choose the country from the Indian supply side, I think important is that country should be economically strong. I'm not saying don't go to Africa. Go to a country which has better financial stability. Why? Because for the cookware, it is directly related to the health. Yeah. And when you talk about the health, it has to do with the awareness. So what is the story? Of course, we have to tell that the product which is going from India will really cater to the health. And with each specific country, what we realized while a Chinese product coming from China to France, getting failed and getting success in Saudi Arabia. I think they try, but we have a bigger strength than that we customized based on the environment and the culture. So second, I'm talking about again Saudi Arabia specific, because if I talk generalized, it will not land anywhere. What they expect is, something customized based on their, environment. So which means if you really want to increase the experience, there is a scope in Saudi Arabia where you don't go to the lowest side, don't go to the highest side. It is similar like India, the way India has grown, right? So it's about health, it's about customization. And of course, before you go there, the regulatory part. I'm saying all this from the seller's perspective. Because once the seller perspective is solved, right, the customer is looking only for a trusted product, which India definitely can offer because of the innovation we have. This is one they want, that there has to be innovation, not in just terms of the looks, right? When the things come from China, they are beautiful, they are cheap. But to be honest, they are not trusted, right? So I think I will not take much because most of the point has been covered. This is my point, Shruti. Thank you so very much.
Thanks, Ravi. You're my advisor also, and we keep talking. And we spoke many times that compliances and the market stability is very, very important.
Yeah,
And if these two are not there, it will be very difficult for any brand to grow in that country, right? And I think you
true.
fairly pointed that out. My next question is with Vladimir, who is managing Zoom Marketplace from India. And Vladimir, when Indian manufacturers try to sell abroad on marketplaces, what key challenges do they face, and what can be done to make that process smoother?
Yeah, Shruti, thank you so much for the introduction. Yeah, basically, thank you so much for inviting me here. Yeah, I have heard a lot of great speech today. Very excited by experience you have, particularly in your product category. I'm talking right now about all the speakers whom I have heard today. Let me just quickly introduce myself and my company. My name is Vladimir. I'm a region head for India. I'm in charge of business development in India and all operations we have in India in Joom Marketplace. Joom Marketplace itself is a cross-border marketplace. We are a European company. Our headquarters is in Lisbon. This January, we celebrate 4 years in India. We started in January 2022. So almost 4 years successful journey we have. Right now, India is a top 3 origin on platform. Origin, we mean from where we have goods, from where we have supply. So what I can see is constant development of India in terms of products, in terms of categories, etc. So more and more product categories are coming, more and more sellers who are very experienced in D2C cross-border, etc. are coming to us, and that's why we develop India. We can see stable growth of India for the last 4 years. Yeah. Actually, yeah, about main obstacles right now in terms of cross-border, as per my experience, biggest challenge happened this summer once tariffs from USA happened, right? Right now, export from India is subjected to these great tariffs, and actually, what we gave to our customers, basically, we gave big relief because Joom is not selling in the US. We are targeting entire Europe and CIS region. CIS region means post-Soviet Union countries like Russia, Kazakhstan, Belarus, Moldova, around 15 countries in that region. There is no Amazon, there is no eBay, Etsy, and other players for which are more familiar to Indian sellers. So that's why we give a kind of unique opportunity for them to reach completely new buyers, completely new clients, completely new regions, etc. We help them to diversify business and to have stable business there. Mostly export from India is more for English-speaking markets, mostly for the US. But with us, they can expand. With us, they can diversify their products, etc. We make this journey very seamless. We have our own logistics in India. Logistics is the biggest challenge sometimes for small and even medium and even big clients also, since when you want to send this cross-border, sometimes logistics part, like logistics expenses, they are more than product cost itself. So we also help with this. We have our own logistics solution in India. For our sellers right now, it's like to send it locally in India. They just need to print labels, stick it on parcel. We pick up from their warehouses, etc., and send it directly to the customer. Also, on Joom, to sell in Europe, to sell in CIS, you do not need to be VAT registered, etc. We collect VAT from customers as a company. We pay this ourselves to European government. We also help with compliance, because a lot of compliance we have in Europe, especially for health and beauty, and actually for other products also. We help with this also. We help your products to become live on European marketplaces also. Yeah, marketplaces, why I'm saying that Joom integrated with other marketplaces in Europe and CIS. Once you upload to Joom, you can sell on other marketplaces with us also. So actually, that's what we do for our Indian sellers. That's how we can help them to expand. That's how we can ensure that they have stable business. They do not need to rely only on the US. They can expand further with other markets also. That's actually what we do and what we did basically. Yeah. Thank you so much for your attention. Yeah, actually, Shruti, I will ask you. I'm sharing link for participants. Actually, maybe somebody is interested about Zoom and wants to share details with me. I can't share this in our Zoom chat right now. If possible, I will share with you after our call, so you could also send it to our participants. Yeah. In case you are interested in Zoom, there will be like special link for you for like trade promotion council event. You just need to give like contact details, and we will like Zoom team will reach you. And if you are interested in Zoom, you will be able to be onboarded. Yeah. Thank you so much.
Sure. Thanks, Vladimir. My next question is with Viswanath, who is a partner at Stelcore. He is also an ex-Noon and Namshi, and he's based out of Dubai. So, hi, Biswa.
Hey, Shruti.
Hi.
Good
So,
afternoon.
hi, good afternoon. I will throw one question which is definitely very opposite of what your experience is. Um, just trying to make it a little interesting for people who are listening. Beyond online marketplaces, which offline retail channels or global distributor networks are becoming important for kitchen brands that want long-term international growth?
Great, Shruti. Thanks for that. I mean, obviously, it's completely opposite to what I have been doing. But the good thing is that for the last 15 years, while I've been in retail for the first seven, then 7 years in e-commerce, so I have a good mix of both. So I do understand the importance of, being in the offline segment. I mean, thanks to everyone till now, the panelists, what all points I had that I need to speak, most of them have covered. That's one disadvantage when you come down the line to speak, because most of the points are there. Uh, so how I see this is, India has always been very strong, producer of cookware, what I have seen, because, in my own experience, I have led the known private label, category in terms of this, and cookware was our one of the strongest category in the GCC market, right? So I mean, right from India being the producer of stainless steel, aluminium, pressure cooker, cast iron, or whatever, right? We have the depth in manufacturing. What how I see is, when we started off the journey in terms of private label, cookware, etc., we were sourcing from China. I see a lot of this thing between China and other country, but once we started seeing the shift of consumer behavior in terms of the quality, in terms of the health, in terms of other things, we had to shift our sourcing as well, right? So I mean, it became right from we from the real kitchen insights, to be honest, it was like that. So we could see the shift in the demand. We could see what consumers are actually wanting to do, right? How we did is what we improved the ergonomics, possibly induction, because yeah, obviously I think I remember some panelists saying typically India doesn't need, for example, dishwasher possibly, or an induction, because things are different. But when it comes to other countries, in terms of when you want to export, you'll have to get your product for that country, right? And not where you're coming from. So we had to change in terms of a lot of the gauge thickness, be it packaging, be it, in terms of any of the price points with the perceived value, I have to put it, how they look at it, right? uh, what we saw all through in this journey is marketplaces are amazing as a launch pad, right? I mean, to launch your product, to get the visibility, to get the eyeballs, marketplaces are the best. You get a lot of views rather than, starting directly. I mean, but how we see is that, or rather how I see is that it's kind of a, base floor for the building, right? Now, when you want to go ahead in terms of the brand power, or, you need to, show up in the offline shelves, right? Typically, and particularly some categories, right? And cookware is a part of that. It really, is important to be there offline as well. You know, uh, how because cookware is not just a product category, right? It's a very tactile category, to be honest, right? So people want to feel the weight, see the finish, trust the safety, etc., right? How so yeah to Coming to you, answering your question specifically, how we see is that Indian cookware brands exporting out of India need to be present in either of the big box or specialty retail shops, partner with strong regional distributors. And even, like, for example, we have some brands we are partnering with, hospitality, institutional kitchens. It's a big white space, what I see, wherein a lot of brands are still not there, right? And we have been working with some brands as part of Stelcore, right? um, I mean, even for example, like couple of examples, what I remember is in terms of prestige, right? They how they did it, that they partnered with strong importers, retail ready packaging. They had their packaging all sorted, right? I mean, similarly, Vinod Cookware, another big one. I mean, we have all the, budding ones, but yeah, these are the ones which I, we have seen all through the journey. I've been a part of that, looking at how they did it. uh, Vinod Cookware, they have exclusive distributors, focused. They have hero SKUs which are very focused, and they also tied up with, Horeca supply, right? So how I see is that, like I answered, these things needs to be in place. But all I say with this on the top would be, one is compliance. Before you go to any market, please ensure that, because I have seen personally, again, brands breaking on terms of compliance while they do everything else. Compliance falls off, because that silently blocks any expansion plan, right? So yeah, so that's what I feel.
Very well said, Viswa. And I think we also believe that online channel is a good channel for you to get the visibility. But when it comes to growth, you definitely need to pick the offline channels as well. And on top
Sure.
of it, the compliances are a no-brainer. You need to procure all the compliances given the country you are working. Because mostly the brands have failed when they're growing, then they get scrutinized, and that's where they fail mostly, right?
Yeah.
The startups.
Initially, for a small shipment, possibly
Yeah,
it passes off, but once you actually start getting, visibility, that's where it starts breaking,
yeah, yeah,
and it becomes a challenge. Yeah.
yeah. And the time the growth is happening, you get completely shut down. So the time, the amount of pain that you have taken to get that growth, all goes in vain, right? Thank you, Biswa. My next question is with Ketan. Hi, Ketan.
Hi,
Uh,
Shruti.
Ketan is a cross-border e-commerce consultant and ex-Amazon. He is also the ex-founding member of Amazon Global Selling. Most of the brands who have onboarded through Amazon on global platforms, I'm sure you have connected with Ketan at one point in time. So you are no new name in our industry anyway.
Thank you.
Uh, Ketan, my next question is Indian kitchen exporters often struggle with cross-border selling logistics. What
Mhm.
truly ecosystem level improvements or policy changes could truly help manufacturer export cookware more easily?
Okay, I think that's an interesting question. Thanks for inviting Shruti, Virat. Like really appreciated to be part of this panel. I also had my set of learnings. I think interacting with all of the panelists offline and even today. So my throat is bad, so just pardon me in between. I think when it comes to policy, we may not be able to right now change a lot of policy, to be honest, but we can at least form a consortium of sorts where we can push for certain policy improvements. Specifically, I was leading the team which was directly working with the government when I was part of Amazon in terms of government partnerships and policy. And we our team also worked with FTP, which was a foreign trade the policy that came for e-commerce exports, right, a couple of years ago. So now when I think about it, I think that's already in place. But when I think about cookware, there can be a little more that can be done. Specifically, I think the government was working on things like districts as export hub as an initiative where they were identifying certain districts. Specifically in cookware, we know that Chennai is one of those districts. Jodhpur is one of those districts. Ahmedabad. We see a lot of hubs where there is a potential to double down on, and there is an opportunity where if it's an e-commerce export hub, there are manufacturers already who are manufacturing for the world, but there can be more testing labs within their vicinity. There can be more cataloging agencies within those export hubs itself, so that the manufacturers are able to quickly get their cataloging online. There can be packaging specialists who can also be part of this particular consortium, and of course, like freight forwarders, if they see the value of having a particular office in that export hub because of the volumes, then I think the entire ecosystem can work together in terms of fast tracking the entire launch process and the growth journey in itself, right? I think outside of it, when it comes to policy, I can think of custom clearance as a big deterrent at times for the first time exporters specifically, and people who are starting with small parcels. Our I think entire customs journey or our export journey is built around largest of the exporters who ship containers of load, right? But for e-commerce particularly, I've seen people start with small parcel delivery, they start with LCLs and everything. So I think there as well, the custom clearance for exporters who are either doing it for the first time, if we can provide some guided support. Plus, I think there's a lot of complexity specifically with cookware because of the sizes, the material, the coating, and everything. The complexity in terms of getting the right HSN code and what kind of documentation is required for particular coating or particular material can different be categorized by the customs. So I think there can be some playbooks which can help the exporters who are doing it for the first time or who are doing it for the particular country. Like I think someone mentioned that Saudi Arabia might have a different level of import restrictions versus let's say a UK or a US. So if we can provide playbooks, and I think Vishwanath's team also helps in creating these kind of playbooks, what kind of compliances are required, what kind of documentation is required right at the time of exporting your goods, that will fast track again the entire process. Outside of it, I think there are a couple of other policy recommendations or policy challenges people face with payment reconciliation when it comes to e-commerce exports. Because when you are exporting right now in B2B, you are assured that this amount will come back to you at some particular point in time. In e-commerce exports, the amount may vary, the time it will come may vary slightly. So I think that payment reconciliation is another policy challenge that I see sellers facing. And I think lastly, one of the interesting I think pointers came in when I was discussing around policy with someone from the industry last couple of weeks ago. So the person mentioned that we have to do testing twice for the products that we are manufacturing in India. So once we do it, let's say for Indian regulators, like we do a BIS certification, or we do some certification which is mandated for Indian manufactured goods, but at the same time UK might require a different level of certification, even if the guidelines are similar, but those certifications are not widely accepted in global markets. So I think that's maybe something that the policy holders or policy makers can take up when they are signing these kind of FTAs. Like India has a FTA with UK, right, where we are pushing the free trade. So even our compliance certifications can be part of like those FTAs, where we can tell the governments that, hey, we are having the certificate already in place and it should be globally accepted, like the way we accept Intertech certifications or other certifications. I think that's another standard which can be globally accepted, because our policy guidelines or our compliance requirements are very similar to the global standards right now. I think that's majorly it. I think everybody else covered a lot of my other points, so I'd stop here. But yeah, thanks again.
I definitely have more questions, but in the interest of time, I would like one closing statement from everyone, and what is that you want to share with our participants here. Also, guys, for all the participants who have joined, please put your questions in Q&A section so that we can take it in the later stage once the entire panel discussion is done. I'll start with Aditya. What is the closing statement and what is that you're seeking? You will grow in which market and how you're seeing global exports overall?
Sure. I think it was a wonderful session so far. Everyone has covered a lot of interesting points, takeaways, very specific, pointers that we can take care of. And I think for us as well, one of the things that has worked and I think will keep on happening as we expand into geographies beyond US and India, is the fact that, what works in India doesn't necessarily work in the US, right? Like as Madhumitha also mentioned, Ravi also mentioned that, what they cook is different, how they cook is different, the kitchens are different, the way of washing the utensils is different, right? So there needs to be a very deep study in terms of what really works and what doesn't, and then we stand on making these products. I think one of the visions that we always have is the fact that after visiting so many stores like big retail stores like Williams Sonoma, Pottery Barn, Crate and Barrel, I visited I think close to 100 such stores in the US, and we could not see any single Indian brand there, but we could see Indian products being labeled by American, Italian, French players, right, which have a very small sourced from India or made in India tag, which is somewhere hidden, right? And that made us realize that, India has the potential to make these products, that can stand on the global platform, but we as Indians are not branding it well enough, right? So that is the gap that we need to fulfill, and that is the brand that we need to become, where Indian brands can sell their own products in the US rather than shying away from expanding well there. And I think that's going to be the mainstay for us. And I think as our ethos also go by, we feel that India also doesn't need to choose between tradition and modernity. The path forward is sort of hybrid, where we have handcrafted forms, but with industrial precision, export grade documentation, compliance, and that design innovation for modern markets and modern homes baked into the entire ecosystem. So yeah, I would like to end with that.
Very rightly said. I think we just get overwhelmed by the B2B orders that we get. We don't foresee who is buying, what they're doing, how it is reaching out to the end consumer. And the other person buying from that country is white labeling on top of it, building their own brand and then selling to the end consumer. I think it's high time India being that brand and selling to global consumer, right? And I think that's our mission as well. And you rightly put it out, Aditya, bang on the point. Madhumita, any last things you want to share with our participants here?
Sure. So India has a long history in Horeca, and as OEMs, our manufacturers have been doing that for decades. But building a brand is a completely different story. It starts and ends with your customer. So you have to be very mindful of which country you're going to and who your customer is in that country. So you can define that customer by behavior, or you can define that customer by income group, or what phase of life they're in, and build strongly for that particular customer group and find customer love there. Because if you're able to crack that, you will stand in their heart and you'll find a lot of customer love, which you can keep developing. One thing that I see we've not been able to do successfully in the past is do that. Spend a lot of time on customer insighting, figure out what is something that they really want, which we can offer and no one else can. And once we're able to crack that, and we do all the other hygiene things like compliance, consistency, packaging, and all of that is already being done by a lot of players. I think the only piece of the puzzle is listening to the customer and building a brand that lasts. Because it's very easy to do it for a couple of years, but doing it a decade after, a brand is built over decades. It's not built over years. So imagine a brand doing this from India for the world for the next 2 to 3 decades. That's when a brand is built, and that's when it enters the likes of a Williams Sonoma, and people would pay a premium for it. I think we have the skill set. We just need to add a couple of more skill sets to ensure that we get our rightful place.
Sure. Thanks, Madhu. Hi, Naiyya. Any last words you want to share with the participants? We'll take the questions from them later.
So I think it's a couple of closing thoughts. One is I do believe India has always had a very strong design-led culture. In fact, so many of the industrial designers here, as well as agencies here, were always building global products from the world, but from India, right? And those products never actually found themselves on Indian shelves because they were being built for American consumers or British consumers, Australian consumers, right? So I think there is a big opportunity for us today versus, I think somebody said this, right? Any other time as entrepreneurs from India to really take a step back, embrace the talent we already have from a design perspective, especially in a tech perspective, as I mentioned earlier, and to really build the next generation of defining consumer products from India for the world. I think that's one. Number two, however, there is also a reality we need to acknowledge. When I started my journey of Shruti, I went on and basically made a statement saying that we will make in India, etc. I realized when I went through the entire set of motions, right? My promise is to my consumer first, right? And when I talked to manufacturers and I met some amazing, very driven promoters and manufacturers, they did say that the number one, the speed of NPD, and number two, the quality of finish, right? And of course, number three, couple of other technical pieces, and for was of course on procurement on certain pieces. That ecosystem is still evolving, and that's fine. That's the stage we are at. But I think it's important that we, as an ecosystem, acknowledge that, and we do our best to ensure that that progresses. And I do want to call it out because there's a lot of excitement about Make in India, and that needs to come real. And that will only happen when we all come together to make it real. I think the third thing I do want to call out is that when I've met these manufacturers, when I've met younger companies, there is a lot of support being given by the government. And in fact, there's a lot of incentives being given by the government as well to set up manufacturing facilities, et cetera, in certain sectors, certain areas, certain regions. One request, however, is also in the deployment of these incentives, right? Because even though they are obviously sovereign debt in some sense, in some form, right? So they're definitely like backed. But in the timeliness of that deployment, these are smaller manufacturers and smaller companies. It impacts your cash flow massively. So if the government could look into that, because that will help the ecosystem, because once you have a robust backbone in manufacturing, the rest sort of falls into place.
Sure. Thanks. Ravi, any closing statement you want to share?
श्रुति मैं यहाँ से शेयर करूंगा, किसी ने मेरा कनेक्ट मांगा है, तो मेरा ईमेल आईडी है ssgktj@gmail.com। इसकी फुल फॉर्म है यार, स्टार्ट सिंपल घटिया करो तो जानो, राइट? So my message, my point is, don't think too much. Start. Things will evolve. Whatever the best you will plan on the paper, things will not fall that way. And 4 C's in my last 10 years, which made me an awarded company from Amazon, from eBay, built the distribution business in less than a year or 9 digits. Customize for market, collaborate to build economy of scale and speed, custom, understand regulatory collection. If you do not understand the reconciliation, then don't do it. These are the 4 C's. And the final line is, the time has come. The time of India has come. Let's do it. Thank you, Shruti.
Sure. Well, Admir, any closing statement you have to share with our participants?
So I will be short. I'm totally agree with Ravi. Please start. Yeah, please just join Zoom, join any other platform. Actually, yeah, just list your products and then see how it goes. Yeah, and just my statement also. Yeah, please try to explore new opportunities. You can do this with Zoom also. There is no only US, there is no only Canada, there is no only like New Zealand and Australia. You can sell to Moldova, you can sell to entire Europe, you can sell to Kazakhstan, you can sell to Russia. More than 500 million people are living there. They already know about Indian products. They're searching for them. They're buying them. So that's why, yeah, definitely, you will find your market there. Yeah, thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. Biswa, any closing statement?
Yes, Shruti, I think finally I would say that, India has got the capability, the world has got the demand, how we see it. The timing is never better. I think one of the panelists already said the timing, it's now, right? If we go global with the right compliance, right partner, right product, I think we are not going to participate, but we can actually lead that market. Finally, from as telco, we tell all our brands, right? You do what you do best, which is build the product, you sell. Rest everything we will handle for you. So you don't need to have that fear. So yeah, we can go for it.
Yeah. Ketan, any closing statement?
I think just adding one thing which I think most of the panelists covered in some form or shape, but I think focus is required. A lot of times we want to start, but we get confused because I think all of us shared a lot of information, around cookware, around category, exports, compliance, logistics, and a lot of stuff. So someone might get, confused that where do I start, how do I start? So I think focus is required. You don't need to get like 100 different channels to operate simultaneously. Figure out the right kind of channel, as someone mentioned. Figure out the right kind of products that sell into that particular channel. I think start with small number of SKUs. A lot of times when like what works in India, as I think Aditya mentioned, may not work for the world. So focus on a couple of SKUs, focus on 1 or 2 countries. Try to learn, how that e-commerce export journey works for you. Like I'll give you this one very small example. So someone might believe that, cookware is very saturated, category, let's say on Amazon.com. But if you look at it, there are a lot of niche categories within cookware that may, be smaller right now, but you see a tremendous growth rate. Like I was researching even for this webinar, what can be those categories, right? So one of the categories that is growing fastest on US Amazon is like camping cookware. People who go for camping, they require different kind of cookware, which is again stainless steel 304, which is PTFE free and everything. So those are very similar products but evolving for the particular market. So I think look at data. Data right now, I think everyone has data, but nobody has time to look at data because you are all so much focused on your entire operations, your journey, your management and everything. So look at data. Whatever data will suggest you will, I think, always overpower intuition. So go with data. I think feel free to reach out to us if you require any kind of support or understanding. Yeah, I think that's my 2 cents.
Thanks. I think we have some questions which have been answered, but I'll still go through here. And any of your panelists who want to answer this can do. Rohit Chawla is asking, we want to understand aluminium and non-stick cookware have been here since over 30 years. Now, suddenly since COVID, there's shift from coatings to no coating cookware. But we then have triply and honeycomb. My question is, we get from Western culture products, then we come to understand that this is an issue. So from cast iron, it's moving to enamel coating, but again, it may become negative. How do we deal with this being manufacturer?
I think I can take that.
Yeah.
So a lot of our partners were aluminum manufacturers who wanted to experiment in stainless steel. It started as a small portion of their revenue, and cut to 3 years later, it's a significant portion of their revenue. So what you'll have to do is really analyze what are your core skill sets, what are the assets that you own, is space a good asset that you own, are the machinery good assets that you own, are your people your biggest assets, is your technology or your understanding your biggest asset, and figure out what is the material that might give you the biggest returns in the next 10 years and invest in that direction. So for someone who's already really strong on aluminum or non-stick, stainless steel might be an easier migration because the processes are relatively comparable and the metals are relatively comparable. But does that suit your strength and does that align with the assets that you already own is something that you will need to understand. Market trends do change, and as a manufacturer, you have built capacity in a particular direction. So try to see where you can outsource certain pieces before you invest in your machinery. See if you're able to build significant volume by being an OEM to somebody. See if you want to build a brand. Decide all of this strategically and invest one machinery at a time. And it's okay if you take a year or 2 to figure this out. But once you've decided the path, stick to it for the next 10 years.
Sure. Very valid point, Madhumitha. Thank you for answering. Rohit, hope you got the answer. You're also asking if you want to connect with Mr. Ravi. I think he has shared his email ID. You can even connect with the TPCI team and they will connect you with the person. Ogara is asking, can he support me with the... I think you mean Biswajit. Biswanath. He's asking, can he support me with the compliance requirements for selling in GCC market, especially for agro-processed and enamel-based products? Of course, Ogara, he can support with anything that's required for compliances and entering into a GCC market. Would request Virat to share his details with the concerned person. Hitesh is asking how to check current compliances rules of the target market. I have checked indiatradeportal.com but couldn't find updated info. I'm interested in private labeling. Please confirm if the Indus Valley and other manufacturers provide this facility and what's the MOQ. Um, for compliances, I think Biswa or Ketan, Virat, any one of you can answer. And for the second one, where you are asking for private label, I think TPCI can connect you with the right people. Yeah, guys, anyone would like to take the question on the compliances? So the portal
Uh,
doesn't work, and where they can find the complete compliance rules with the target market.
I mean, Shruti, like you said, I think we can surely support him. Once maybe the session ends, we can get connected. We can surely support him, whatever compliance is needed. We do have our online compliance portal as well. But yeah, in case anything else is required, our team will be pretty happy to, help him on that.
Sure. Sure. Shubham is asking, how can we stay connected after the session ends? So, Shubham, you can join Export Circle. We have mostly all the speakers in the community, and they keep helping with people with anything and everything they want. You can also go back to the LinkedIn and look at TPCI post. All the panelists are mentioned along with their LinkedIn profiles. So you can click on it and connect with the speaker that you want to connect with. Rajiv, the same for you. You are also asking for the profiles. It's there on the LinkedIn. Plus, you can join the community. Just go to www.exportcircle.com, register, and you will find a WhatsApp link there. Rohit is asking, we do camping, cookware. Let's please connect with buyer. Happy to save our industry. I think Rohit, you can take this discussion to TPCI, and if required, you can connect with Madhumitha for further discussion on this. Amit is asking, can we have a picture of visiting card or contact? Guys, please go to LinkedIn. Every panelist details are mentioned there. You can connect or you can join the community overall. Or I will ask Virat to share panel, all the speakers' LinkedIn profiles with all of you. Madhumita, he's saying thank you and asking for your email ID. Shalini is asking, please throw some light on sustainable cookware and serverware, like we work on stoneware with artisans from any. Is there a potential market for the same?
Northeast, she means, I guess.
Northeast.
So
Anyone would like to answer?
I'll take that. We've tried that in the past. The sustainability promise, our early days was a lot of work in ceramic ware and earthenware, which are your clay pots essentially. At least back in 2016, 2017, it did not work in the Indian market, but I see significant potential in European and Western markets. They really value things like sustainability and are willing to pay a premium for it. So if there is a sustainability promise that you can validate through certification and be transparent about it, I see a lot of value in the Western market. And India has also changed, cut to 10 years ago. So maybe there's a potential here as well.
Sure. I think with this, everyone is asking the profiles of the panelists and how to connect. So I think Virat, you are the person here.
Yeah.
And thanks. I'll take a pause, and thanks Virat for giving an opportunity to co-host with you.
Yeah.
And I hope all the attendees have taken something from our speakers. It was a great session. I'll
Yeah.
take a pause now, and Virat, the stage is all yours now.
Yes, yes. Actually, I, of course, thoroughly enjoyed listening to everybody's views. So, of course, I'll have to go through the session again to better imbibe all the different things that were said. But I was intrigued by Ravi telling me that, the evolution of India versus China, and this has always been one of my favorite topics. So, in the past decade, you wanted to, you were about to shed some light on how that evolution with these two countries in terms of export attractiveness, especially on e-commerce platforms. How have you seen it happening, and what makes you positive, or even what makes you, contemplate on what can be done in future? What is missing and what has been achieved? Let's say it as simple as that.
Thank you, Virat, for this great question, which is very close to my heart because I was born in a family of exporter only, and I wanted to do export. My first project when I started was export only. Unfortunately, I couldn't sell on Amazon India, and that led me to go out of India and figure it out. कि पूरी दुनिया में ई-कॉमर्स हो रहा है, इंडिया में क्यों नहीं कर पा रहे हैं? फिर पता लगा इंडिया को जो चाहिए वो तो प्राइस पॉइंट है ना, 800 रुपये से नीचे लेके आओ. सो आई ब्रॉट द लॉन्ग टेल मॉडल, राइट? वहां जब मैं गया, वहां जाके मैंने समझने की कोशिश करी कि was it my failure in Indian grounds in 2015 or was it the ecosystem failure, right? On that point of time, I was not very sure to say that lines, but today I can say it was an ecosystem failure on that point of time. Because when I reached there, when I started for our drop shipping from China, what happens? There are big aggregators. They procure all the SKUs on SOR models, keep it with them, list to the global marketplaces, Germany, France, Italy, and they have the language expert teams. Because of the economy scale of the logistics, they average out, right? And they pass the benefit to the end consumer. This is what happens in China. I worked with all the top players of the China. So first thing, I asked one of the top company listed there. I said, "Ki, boss, how do you do it?" But then they says, "Ki, most of the ecosystem is created by the government, right?" So that was not there 10 years back. Ecosystem. When I say ecosystem, which means incentives in the form of export is not what we were looking forward to on that point of time. I was looking for something which is easy, right? मुझे आप बोलो 5 साल पहले if I export from India, मेरे को बैंक रुला देगा बस, मेरा BRC सेटल नहीं होएगा. उनको समझ ही नहीं आता है कि ड्रॉप शिपिंग होता क्या है. अभी मेरे पास मान लीजिए 3000 एसके हुए हैं, 4000 एसके हुए हैं. एग्जाम्पल इंडिया से करेंगे तो, बट चाइना से तो लार्जर होता है. तो आप समझिए कि उसकी BRC सेटल नहीं होती है, which thanks to the current regime, which has changed it. The evolvement of the BRC settlement. Second है कि bank, they were sucking like anything, to be honest. The payment gateways like Payoneer was not there at that point of time. I'm just don't want to marketize them, but yes, I was one of their affiliates, so for sure. Right. The payment system was like कि अगर आपने export किया और छोटा export है, start तो छोटा ही होएगा ना. Then the bank sucks, they charge too much, right? Then that was not there. There was no specific department working for the global exports. When I'll say, I'll always say global because my love is towards India to make it a global brand. That is very much written on my LinkedIn as well. So please pardon me if I miss on the India side, talking about Indian market, right? Because I always felt that India has much more Indians, not India. Indians have much more potential, and if they are given the ecosystem, they will surpass, irrespective it is Chinese or whatever, right? We are people with brain and with rigor, and emotions too, right? When we make for the market, we don't just make product. We put our emotions that, will it really serve it? We are not just here to sell it, right? So regulatory, banks, I think anything, right? It was very hard to go to customs, right? That is why when I say 4 C's, customize for the market, collaborate to build economy. So collaboration was not there, right? Like today, TCPL, today Export Circle, when Shruti reached out to me, Ravi, would you like to be my advisor? You know e-com so well. I said, boss, all the time. This is the way India can be built. And then she reached out for Trade Promotion Council. I said, more than happy, right? So the collaboration was not there. The ecosystem, second ecosystem, which you guys are building, customs, right? Customs very hard on that point of time. Very difficult to make them understand what drop shipping means, what exports means, right? For the e-commerce, basic they knew. But today, if I go to the customs, right, they understand it fully. They give it a lot of relaxation, better understanding. reconciliation, right, which was the biggest challenge, right? Again, thanks to the government, against to the ecosystem, that they have waived off to a certain extent. If that remittance is not coming, then you can go and give a, just that, okay, that has happened, and they are okay with it. Before that was not the case. So this has happened. What needs to be done? I think from the ecosystem perspective, there is a need from the government side to build and support the ecosystem partners, like, for example, Export Circle or Trade Promotion Councils, to help them to set up the global hubs, right? Because just online will not suffice the purpose. Once you enter into that market, आदित्य ने वहां माल भेजा, अब आदित्य चाहेगा ना कि वो ओमनी चैनल हो, इट इज नॉट जस्ट, देन हाउ इट विल हैपन, राइट? या तो इंडिया में हमारे पास यहाँ इकोनॉमी ऑफ स्केल हो, या हमारे को वहां पे एक्सपोर्ट हब बनाने के लिए सब सपोर्ट किया जाए. दिस इज वन थिंग आई पर्सनली बिलीव इन, दैट दिस शुड हैपन. और ये बहुत सारे पॉइंट्स हैं, बट आई थिंक एक्सपोर्ट हब अगर बनता है तो इट विल सफाइज अ लॉट.
Right. Right. Thank you so much, Ravi. I would love to take this discussion forward in the interest of everybody's time. I think we'll close for now. And I would like to say, of course, thank you so much, everybody. We learned a lot in the past 1 hour or so. And I mean, it's excellent for the whole, for us as well as for the audience out here. And we'll definitely try to connect with people who are relevant to the specific panelist. When they connect with me, I will try and connect them to the right person. And also, if there are some unaddressed questions, we may just put them up again with you guys and take your responses to that. So thank you so much, everybody. Madhumitha, Ketan, Ravi, Vishwanath. I think Naiyya and Vladimir had to drop off for some reason. So thank you so much, everybody, and thank you so much, Shruti, for this session.
Thank you.
Thank you
Thank
so
you,
much.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.